Good afternoon, people. It is a sunny day here in Salt Lake City. Hey, thanks for watching these videos once again. And in this video, I want to talk about a question I get a lot, which is, can you have a relationship, a real relationship, whatever the fuck that means, in residency and or medical school? The answer is absolutely not. No, I'm just kidding. The answer always depends, I think, on you. But how about this? How would I describe my relationships in medical school and residency? And then you can decide for yourself whether you think you want to do that or you want to maybe hold off for a little bit. Not only my relationships, but my schedule and the things that I think that make it difficult and the pros and the cons of having a relationship in med school and residency. So I did have a couple real, boyfriend girlfriend relationships. I had one that was pretty serious in residency, which I'll talk about in a little bit. I will say that your schedule is obviously pretty demanding. Many people that are not in medicine are not going to understand your schedule, and they're going to question your commitment to the relationship because your commitment to medicine is generally very high. Most of the time comes first. Even now, my friends that are married, that are surgeons, their wives or husbands have a very good understanding that they don't come first in the relationship, and what comes first is the patients. And that's for, I think, a lot of surgeons and probably a lot of medical doctors as well. And so when you kind of have a relationship that's serious and you have something else that is more important than that relationship, it puts a serious fucking strain on that thing. And unless that person is extremely understanding or they're in medicine and they know why you're committing to those patients and to that relationship with medicine. There's this TV show called Married to Medicine, and it's a little bit of a play because the women in that are married to women or men are married to their spouses who are doctors, but then really the married to medicine portion is that doctor is married to medicine. And you're kind of married to medicine first. Does it always have to be like that? I don't think so. I think you can separate that a little bit. But in med school and residency, for me, it very much felt like that was first and that was the only thing that mattered. When I had any problems or issues is when I had a girlfriend that was not really familiar with medicine. In fact, I dated a couple nurses. I know it's very cliche, but the people that you end up dating are the ones that you see a lot and then you're friends with and you get to know. When you're in medicine, those are typically people that work in the hospital. So I dated a couple nurses and I thought, nurses are going to understand the life of a resident. They're going to be forgiving. They're gonna know that I'm like so tired I can't even see straight, and they won't be bugging me about, hey, let's go out tonight, or you don't even want to spend any time with me, or I don't come first, or all that stuff that you get. And surprisingly to me, the nurses didn't really have that same understanding either, because most of the time nurses work 3 to 4 days a week. If they were working more than that, it's usually not a prolonged period of time. Whereas a resident in surgery, you're working 6 to 7 days a week for 5 years. And so that's a big difference. And not only are you working 6 to 7 days a week, you're taking call and not sleeping all those nights and all that stuff. And so it's a whole nother level, like not even close to nursing. Believe me, I give all the credits in the world to nurses because they do an amazing job, and the job that they do is very critical, but they just don't put in the same hours as the residents. So that was a big difference, and I was a little bit surprised with that. I thought that would be like a good compromise, but it was still a big gap in like understanding where I was coming from. And of course, there's always, you can, as the other person, you can compromise and say, okay, I'm gonna like go out. Okay, I promise we're gonna go out. I was just on for 36 hours, but I know it's Friday and we haven't seen each other for a while, and so yeah, let's go out. I didn't fucking have it in me. I swear to God. I tried to do it, and sometimes I was like, I can't. And that sometimes that caused some serious problems sometimes. So I kind of over time, I was like, well, I don't know if this is really gonna work. But I did have one serious girlfriend, and it went pretty well until like I realized that she had this, like I was in a residency program and I didn't want to stay in that city, and she was going to stay there for various reasons and stuff like that. And so we kind of like broke up for those reasons. I don't know, maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't have. I don't really know. But anyway, that's kind of my story on relationships. Now, I'll also tell you about some other friends. I had at least 2 friends that were in med school that were married that got divorced. I had at least 2 friends in residency that were married that got divorced. I had also friends in residency, med school residency that were married and stayed married. I don't have a great answer. I'm just telling you like what my experience was. My experience was it's a very, very difficult situation. I think the best chance you have is to have a spouse that is in medicine that can empathize with you and understand what you're going through, because not a lot of other people can do that. If you have somebody that's not in medicine that can empathize with you and be like, don't worry about it, and they are out there. Actually, one of my friends, he's a vascular surgeon now, super good guy. He was married the entire time, like had 3 kids. Wife, I think she was, I can't remember what she did, but she wasn't in medicine. Totally understood everything, never that I saw or that he said, you know, never had a problem with residency. And the guy was like he was in residency like for 9 years. So she was an angel. So if you have somebody like that, obviously it makes your life a lot easier, a lot less taxing on the relationship. But those are, I think, very, very difficult to come by. I believe the main difference between him and her, that couple, and other couples that I've seen is they were together for a lot longer time before he got into medicine and residency. I believe they got married pretty young, so they were already married several years before he went to med school and then into residency. They had been married for 10 years already before he went to residency. I think that bond for them was really unbreakable kind of thing, and that's where they came from. The other couples that I knew were kind of like newly married 1 or 2 years, and then they have this amazing strain on the relationship in there, and they kind of broke, you know. That's my take on that. I didn't really give you any like juicy details. That was intentional. Dr. Mike always says that there's really no romance in medicine, but I will hotly contest that statement, because you know, you're just it's inevitable. Like if you work close together with other people, it doesn't matter where you are. You know, you could be at a Starbucks, baristas, they will hook up, and doctors and nurses and OR techs. One of my friends got very involved with one of the OR techs in the hospital, and all that stuff happens. So it's just a function of spending time together, really, more than anything else. It's not that you go looking for a weird, you know, relationship in the hospital. Some people, you know, think it's kind of sexy. Like, nurses are hot. I mean, hey, there's a lot of hot nurses out there. I won't deny that. Doctors, not as many good-looking doctors. Mostly nerdy. So I'm talking about guys, you know, mostly nerds like us. Not a lot of Dr. Mikes out there. That's the truth. But I guess the whole thing, when you're really good at something, when you're like an expert at something, when you're very driven, when you're very committed to one thing, then that's kind of a turn on for some people. So that definitely happens. Yeah, okay, I guess that's about the end of this video. Hey you guys, thanks for watching these videos. You guys are awesome. I'm keep making them as long as you keep watching them. Subscribe, like, share, all that good stuff, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, we're gonna do the encore portion of this video. This is where it gets good. The real question people want to know is, do you have relationships in medicine, like as in med school and residency? And that answer is a definite yes. And this is also a function of being very, very close together. One of the things that fraternities do is they have a hell week, and they bring all the people that are pledging a class in, and they haze the shit out of them for a week. So they're going through this hazing and torture and all these weird things together, and that forms a bond with those people. This is the same thing that happens in medicine and residency. I mean, in medical school and residency, because you're doing something kind of like extreme, and you're going to, you know, these great lengths, and you're putting all your effort into it and stuff. You have this special bond with other people, and you know, some of those other people are the opposite sex, and when you have a special bond with the opposite sex, sometimes other things happen, if you know what I mean. So the question most of the time that I get is, you know, hey, do you get hit on by nurses? I'm like, fuck yeah, I get hit on by nurses. What are you fucking talking about? Of course I do. Most of the time what happens is, like, when you first come to a new hospital or a new center or whatever it is, you know, the new people, it's like the new meat, right? Like when the freshman class comes in, it's like, oh, new meat. So you come into this new hospital or new program and stuff, and all the nurses and all like, oh, new meat, and all the residents are like, oh, new meat. And so you have this period of time where you're like the new kid on the block and nobody's seen you before, and they want to know what's going on. They want to know who you are and what your story is and stuff. And you get a lot of attention based on that stuff. And then depending on if there's other residents or medical students or whoever it is that you want to maybe have some relationships with, so those things start happening, then it goes from there. Now, I will definitely warn you guys, if you're in medicine or med school or residency, if you're in medical school or residency right now, I will warn you. What I had heard was it is suboptimal, if you know what I mean, to fraternize with other medical students and residents and staff. And what I mean by suboptimal is that if you are caught doing those things, then you can be fired. I had people fired in my program. I've had people fired at my workplace for those things, and it just depends what kind of things happen, what goes down, how it's perceived in the program, all that good stuff. I did have the chairman kind of warn me one time. He said, well, you know, if I would have known about that while you're a resident, this was after I was graduated, I would have been forced to let you go. And that was just strictly a normal relationship, nothing weird. I shit myself, wiped my ass, and then thanked my lucky stars that he didn't know about that at the time. So those things, you know, do happen, but I would just be very, very careful as you get older and as you move up in medicine, medical school, residency. Those things matter more and more, and by the time you're attending, it's like serious shit, so you can't really go and burn a lot of bridges, if you know what I mean. I would not recommend that you are a person who has the burning bridges light their way, if you know what I'm saying. It certainly sounds like a lot of fun, but you can ruin your entire career. And I do know people who have done that, who've ruined their career, and they cannot go back to medicine even after 3 to 4 years of residency. So that's a long haul for to start over again in a different industry. So I hope that maybe quenches your appetite for those kind of questions. Obviously, I'm being a little bit vague. I know that, and that's how it's going to be. Okay, see you guys in the next one.